just in time for Memorial Day weekend, we're going to be talking about hot dogs in this episode. David and I do use obvious innuendo and double entendre humor. So if you're not into that, then maybe skip this episode. But if not, remember. Parental discretion's advised. The world's longest hot dog ever created was 60 meters. That's about 197 feet with a bun that was about 198 feet. It's always weird to see the bun a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger.
The dog shorter than the bun? No way, dude.
That means you get 2 shitty bites.
but at that length, it's actually like 2,000 shitty bites.
Yeah. And that was created in Japan. You know, that was the Guinness Book of World Records. I don't know if that's still in publication right now. I don't remember seeing that in the Guinness Book of World Records. I just remember seeing the 2 fat twins on the mopeds or whatever. And the Guinness Book of World Records like revamped in the early 2000s and just pretty much became a picture book.
Yeah, they really went for it with the pictures and the sparkly fronts and all that stuff.
Yeah, did you ever watch the TV show Guinness Book of World Records or whatever?
I think I did. Man, I must have been in, Christ, what was that, like 2000 or something?
Yeah, that show was fucking terrible.
Like, yeah, it was really dumb.
Well, it's like records that no one even cared about. It's like, yes, you are the best at that because no one else does that.
Yeah, but I feel like that was Friday night before, like after Family Matters or something, like, you know, Step by Step or something. And Friday night was like the one night that my family was going to get together because my mom was going to order pizza.
Yeah, and you were too young to go out and do cool shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, part of TGIF.
Yep, eating pizza during TGIF was the cool shit.
Yeah, back when Urkel had a time machine. I don't like Urkel because I feel he's a micro digression in today's society where he just pretty much sexually harasses Laura and doesn't accept being in the friend zone.
Yeah, micro digression.
Yeah, that I think that would not fly. That like, dude, you're kind of putting out some pretty strong rapey vibes.
Yeah, he was pretty microaggressive.
Anyway, today we're talking about hot dogs.
Hot dog. Hot dog. Hot dog, hot dog, hot diggity dog. Now we got ears, it's time for cheers. Hot dog, no problem solved. Hot dog, hot diggity dog.
Good cutting enhances the quality of good meat. In his way, the meat cutter is an artist. Poor cutting results in an inferior piece of meat, regardless of quality.
All right. David, you
go. Well, that big hot dog that Travis was talking about was prepared by the Shizuoka meat producers for the All Japan Bread Association, which baked the bun and coordinated the event, including the official measurement for the world record. The hot dog and the bun were the center of a media event, which in celebration of the association's 50th anniversary in 2006 at the Akasaka Prince Hotel in Tokyo, Japan. A hot dog prepared by chef Joe Calderone in Manhattan sold for $69 during the National Hot Dog Day in 2010, making it the most expensive hot dog sold at that point. Of course, it was topped with truffle oil and foie gras and all that shit. No surprise that it was that expensive.
Yeah. Got that truffle. Do you know that term?
I do. Claims about hot dog invention are actually pretty difficult to assess, as you know, stories assert the creation of the sausage, the placing of the sausage on bread or a bun as a finger food, the popularization of the existing dish, or the application of the name hot dog to the sausage and bun combination. It's all in question, you know, and then you get into like having ketchup and mustard and relish and if you're from Seattle, cream cheese, you know, this and that. It's all kind of up for grabs, and there's a lot of speculation there. So we're gonna kind of try to get to the bottom of it here.
Yeah, and we won't because everyone claims it. One thing we've learned in the few episodes we've done is that I don't think someone sits down and has a eureka where it's like, I invented this, where it's like, you know, people have been eating these things for a very long time. We discovered this in the tri-tip, that its history is a little bit weird, but also people were eating it in different parts of the country or different parts of the world years before we were eating it in America. Regardless.
But if it's sausage, can we just go out there and say it's German?
Yeah. But people have been eating meat in cased form since the time of the Odyssey.
Which is why I don't understand why sausage is not part of communion. You know, I think if the Catholic Church like really got behind having, you know, maybe just a bit of a liverwurst on the wafer.
I was going to say, I think that the Catholic Church got in trouble for making children eat sausage when they didn't want to.
Oh!
Boom.
Episode over.
If you're still with us.
If you're still with us.
Oh, you set me up. I saw that coming from a long ways away. The term hot dog, you know, a lot of people think that it came from, they used to think German sausage makers were using dog meat in the early part of the 1800s. A lot of people think that the term came from using the word Dotson, and hot dog was describing these hot sausages that look like Dotson, so they would call them hot little dogs, you know?
Okay. That makes sense, I suppose. I know one claim of inventing the hot dog is by Harry Stevens, an American sports concessionaire whose vendors sold German sausages on rolls to spectators at the old New York Polo Grounds during the winter. He called them Dachshund sandwiches. But a New York Post cartoonist at the time said, you know, he couldn't spell Dachshund, so when he drew the cartoon, he just called them hot dogs.
Yeah, and the reason it happened during the wintertime is people used to buy ice cream at baseball games back then, and who wants to eat ice cream when it's already cold outside? So this vendor, looking for a way to increase revenue, went to a local butcher shop, bought all the German sausages he could, and that's where the hot dog was introduced to the American public as a result of just someone trying to make a buck. Another claim is a street vendor noticed his competition was selling sandwiches because the bread was allowing people to take their meal and go and eat on the run.
Mm-hmm.
And he was selling sausages, and who wants to just eat a loose sausage in your hand? Feels weird. So he decided to put it on rolls, and that's how another tale of how the hot dog came around. I believe it's a combination of all these things, and all these things happened around the same time. And probably someone did see someone doing it, and then regardless, people just said, hey, I invented that.
I think you dug up something that has to do with potentially the origin here that doesn't actually involve hot dog. The word Frankfurter comes from Frankfurt, Germany, which I think probably could have guessed, where pork sausages are similar to hot dogs, highly emulsified, smooth texture, oftentimes pork and veal. These sausages, Frankfurter Würstchen, were known since the 13th century and given to the people on the event of imperial coronations, starting with the coronation of Maximilian II, Holy Roman Emperor, as king. So this guy becomes the Holy Roman King Emperor and has hot dogs as his coronation or induction meal.
Yeah, those Romans just love sausage parties. So
they sure do. Yeah. Vienna refers to, the word Wiener, as we know it, refers to Vienna, Austria, because the German name for Vienna is Vienne.
Yeah.
And that's kind of home to the sausage made of a mixture of pork and beef. Johann George Lahner, an 18th or 19th century butcher from the Franconian city of Coburg, is said to have brought the Frankfurter Würstchen to Vienna, where he added beef to the mixture and simply called it a Frankfurter. Nowadays, in German-speaking countries, except Austria, hot dog sausages are called Wiener or Wiener Würstchen, which means little sausage, in differentiation to the original pork-only mixture from Frankfurt. And in Swiss German, it's called Wienerli, while in Austria, the terms of Frankfurter or Frankfurter Würstel are used. So, but I think we're looking at Germany.
Yeah. Did you ever used to have the Vienna sausage in a can?
My mom would actually send that with me in my lunch when I was in elementary school, and I will tell you that was an item that you couldn't trade shit for.
Yeah. Cup of noodles were big at that was the top. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we had the trade table, and it was more like you put your thing on the table, and then someone could come up and, put something else.
No kidding.
Yeah. But so my dad used to, I'm a latchkey kid, product of divorce. My dad would not make me open a can of Vienna sausage, drain out that liquid, and then put that on a plate with some peas, and then, put a little squirt of ketchup on the plate. And I thought we were living, grapes of wrath, because when that ketchup would get low, my dad would add a little bit of water to it. And I think he'd then shake it up and then squirt that, so I'd get this ketchup water, until eventually it was just more water than ketchup.
Yeah, interestingly enough, that was an embarrassing meal when we were kids, but that sounds really great to me right now.
Yeah, I ate much worse shit in my early 20s.
Oh yeah,
when
much
I was
worse.
Just poor. Like, I'll just make a big pot of rice and just add different shit to it every day of the week. Back then, my spirit animal was Dr. Roxo. So around 1870, that's when the hot dog came to Coney Island from German immigrants.
I would, just to back you up for a second, I would love to know if any of our listeners out there have any idea how Coney dogs got from Coney Island in 1870 to Detroit and got chili and raw onions and mustard and liquid cheese added to it, or shredded cheese, depending. So just as kind of an extracurricular assignment, if anybody can come up with that, we'd love to hear.
David, what are some common ingredients found in hot dogs?
Well, when I've made them in the past, it's been, trim and fat. Your spices, salt, garlic, paprika, nutmeg, white pepper, allspice, what have you. And then your cure, which is typically sodium nitrate or sodium erythorbate, but I haven't used that one. I've only used, pink with it. So, pork and beef are generally the traditional meats in hot dogs. I've seen them with veal, but I think that's probably like gnarly Bob veal or something. Less expensive dogs are often made from chicken or turkey using low-cost mechanically separated poultry. And I would love for you to tell me about mechanically separated. But first, if you could tell me a little bit about your trim to fat ratio, because if I remember correctly, it's a little bit higher than your average sausage trim to fat.
You're going to want the fat content to be about 40%, and then you're also going to use about 10% ice, and then mix with lean. And then your ingredients that, are big staples is you're going to use mustard, and you're going to use dairy or non-fat dry milk to help with binding. Yeah, so you're going to get your meat block Tischler line, and then you're going to put that in a bowl chopper, which in the early part of the last century, that's when machinery became popular to make what we refer to as the modern dog. It's a blade system, and it chops and chops until it starts breaking down the meat to a paste, where it the water molecules in the ice is going to bind with the fat molecules to make it creamy, and there won't be any separation. And that's where you get your batter. I'm going to bring it up to a temperature of 60 degrees. That's going to allow air to get out of it, so you don't end up with airy dogs. And then when I stuff it, it's going to go into a natural casing or a collagen casing, which could be removed after the smoking process. And then at that point, they're going to be what we call in the industry bareback dogs, because they have
raw dogs
because they have no casing. And I'm going to smoke those higher than you would think, about 160 internal temperature to get that good snap. And then you're going to rinse it almost like you shock it to avoid getting a wrinkly dog, which you see a lot of in small retail establishments that make their own dogs in-house because they don't have a nice automated smoker that could do these steps.
Okay.
And then we're talking about what is mechanically separated meat, poultry.
Yeah, please. I would love to know what that is.
Mechanically separated is you could do it with all meat, but hot dogs, they usually do it with poultry. And these are big plants that are doing tens of thousands of pounds a day. And they essentially buy poultry scrap. Still has bits of bone. It could be carcass backs. It could be still skinned. You know, they're wholesome. There's no guts in them. There's no feathers. They're a processed bird, but it's the byproduct of the industry.
For cents on the pound, I'm sure.
Yeah, fractions of cents on the pound. To give you an idea, that there's a place locally that processes 1,000 birds a day or more. I don't know their exact numbers, but they ship those slaughtered carcasses that are gutted over to China, freight. They get them, thaw them out, bone them out, then ship them back to America. So
and it's cheaper. It's cheaper for them to pay you or I, or it's more expensive for them to pay you or I minimum wage to process these birds than it is to put them on a fucking ship them across the Pacific Ocean, have some people over there process them, and then ship them back. It's cheaper to pay that.
And but these places are the kind of places with the suicide nets, I'm sure. But
I'm sure.
I don't want to speculate. I've been to China.
That's a different episode.
Yeah. Anyway, and then that meat's able to be brought back here and sold for 99 cents a pound. But we're not talking about that and the world trade economy and this integrated machine. We're not economists, so we got pretty far off topic. But anyway, so mechanically separated, you take these trimmings, you take these bones with a little bit of meat in them, you mix it with ammonia, which is something you typically don't want to eat. And it goes into a centrifuge, and it separates the meat proteins from the bones and from the skin. And then you're ending up with this pure protein paste, and the ammonia evaporates. So at that point, when it evaporates, it's a processing aid, not an ingredient. It's very, part of my job is figuring out things like this, how you could use dry ice to help with your processing, and it's just a processing aid, how you could use lactic acid on the whole muscle, and it's a processing aid, but as soon as you introduce it into grind, it's an ingredient. And then that paste is used in hot dogs, your cheaper hot dogs, your hot dogs that contain chicken and turkey, and not just your pure pork and beef dogs.
Yeah, the stuff from Trader Joe's.
Yeah. I still eat them. I believe they're wholesome.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Just the term hot dog by itself in America generally means a single loose hot dog or a hot dog in a bun. So like hot dog on a stick is not a hot dog on a bun on a stick. It's, it's just, it could be both.
So hot dogs are commonly served with one or more ingredients, as most of us know. In 2005, the U.S.-based National Hot Dog and Sausage Council, part of the American Meat Institute, found mustard to be the most popular ingredient, preferred by 32% of respondents. 23% favored ketchup. 17% favored chili con carne. 9% preferred pickle relish, and 7% preferred onions. The other toppings that are common are sauerkraut, mayonnaise, lettuce, tomato, cheese, and chili peppers. Condiment preferences vary across the U.S. Southerners showed the strongest preference for chili, while Midwesterners showed the greatest affinity for ketchup. Now, being originally from the general thumb area of Michigan, which includes Detroit, we're real passionate about our Coney dogs over here, and that's beanless beef chili. It's a little bit sweet, tomato based. You got a shredded or liquid cheese. I prefer liquid if anybody really cares. Raw onions and yellow mustard.
Is that like a hot dog
No.
4 ways like you get in Cincinnati?
I don't know about that one. I think the Cincinnati dog probably has the Skyline chili on it, which is very similar to Coney chili. Between you and I, but people from Cincinnati and people in Detroit would probably burn a cross on my front yard for saying that they were similar.
Yeah.
If I'm honest.
They're both delicious.
Yeah, that being said, you can also you can't get Lafayette Detroit chili in a can. You can get Skyline chili in a can, so step it up, Detroit.
Yeah. I used to eat that Skyline chili 3 ways, which is on spaghetti. Yeah. My stepdad is from Cincinnati, so that's how it.
Oh, no kidding. Well, we have a CSA member here at the farm, and she's from Cincinnati, and her parents come back and forth very often, and they bring me cans of the Skyline chili, and that's something that I enjoy very often at the slaughterhouse for lunch. Now, I know where you live currently and where I used to live. Cream cheese is a big ingredient, which is complete and total blasphemy and sacrilege to people around here. But, 3:00 in the morning outside the Cha-Cha in Seattle, that's pretty goddamn good.
Yeah. When I was growing up in LA, we'd get street dogs where straight up from someone who didn't have a vending license, who's someone who wasn't supposed to be there.
Really?
Yeah, and they were wrapped in bacon, and they were served with grilled onions and on a bun, and you'd be walking out of the bar and you'd see one of these carts, and it was just heaven sent, the perfect greasy food to soak up that alcohol.
Perfect.
Yeah. I just,
that sounds awesome.
yeah, it's delicious. Preferably what I like to put on my dog is everything. I put so much shit on it that I eat it with a fork, essentially. That
yeah.
Like and it's a method. I could eat 3 hot dogs at once, put cheese on the bottom, and put ketchup, mustard, relish, mayonnaise, whatever. Then essentially cover it so I can't see it anymore in chili. And that cheese on the bottom's going to melt. And then I'm going to eat that. And that's served with a side of antacids and a 7-Up. And
there it is.
And that's delicious. And that's how I also eat my corn dogs. It's something that I'm judged very harsh on.
Fuck it.
By friends and family, but I don't care.
No way.
Yeah, I view
down in the South they put coleslaw on those things.
Yeah, and I do that too. Like coleslaw slider, maybe put a hot dog with some coleslaw and some barbecue sauce on it. I also think that maple syrup and sriracha is a great combination. So,
really,
yeah, try it with a breakfast sausage.
Yeah, I will. I might just try that in my mouth after we get done with this.
Yeah. The Chicago dog, I know it's blasphemy to put certain things on there. And David, you're from that area.
Well, yeah, I spent half of my life living in Chicago, and people will, they'll come after you with pitchforks and torches if you say you're going to put ketchup on your dog, which again, I mean, it's, just from a culinary standpoint, the Chicago dog is 100 times better with a fresh tomato slice on it than with ketchup. I completely understand and I support it. It's an excellent, excellent hot dog. Celery salt, sport peppers, mustard, fresh tomato, fresh dill pickle, raw onion, poppy seed bun, and Hebrew National, though? Son of a bitch. What is it? Here in Michigan, it's Kogels. You eat Kogels in Michigan.
Okay.
But, I mean, I'm not a huge ketchup guy, but sometimes that's just what you want to have.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I like sweet tomato sugar paste.
Yeah, me too. Not on a Chicago dog. So nobody come burn the farm down, please. But on other hot dogs, I enjoy them.
Yeah. I hate going to those places where it's like, you see the sign like, don't even ask about ketchup unless you're a little kid or something stupid.
Which makes me want to bring, my own just giant squeeze bottle of ketchup.
Well, my baby works in a hot dog stand. I'm making them hot dogs as fast as you can. Up steps a cat and yells, don't be slow.
All right, that's the show. Hope you enjoyed it. Just want to real quick thank Smoked Duck Hunter 91, Ham Hands, that dude A-Beats, I guess, Nathan, and Acura 14, and Nostrodamus for leaving comments on iTunes. And if you want to hear your name, leave a comment. That would be awesome, and I could mispronounce it. As well as Gather and Break and Matt on Instagram and anyone else on Instagram who has tagged us in the past. Hashtag the Meat Block or tag us at the Meat Block. Help us out, tell a friend. And that's really the best way to support us at this point. Also, please tell a friend if you think you know someone who may be interested. Like, review, comment on iTunes. We're also available on Google Play and Stitcher. You can find us on Instagram at the Meat Block, and then we're on Twitter at the Meat Block Pod, and you can email us themeatblockpodcast at gmail. You can find me on Instagram at American Butcher, and you can find David at A Farm Butcher. And all this information will be in the show notes. Clips in this show include NWA, Ring the Bell, the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and Metalocalypse. And this closing song is Buck Owens, who is making his second appearance on this show, if you're keeping track at home. And the song is obviously called Hot Dog. If you have ideas or suggestions for future shows, please let us know. We're always looking for questions for Q&A. And have a safe Memorial Day, and keep your knives sharp and live in the margin.